Welcome to our podcast, The Debunkers. We debunk mainstream media propaganda, and report events and facts not widely reported by the media. Also, we connect them to historical facts not very well known. My name is Tamara Hammond, and I specialized in digital media for my PhD. I also have masters from Columbia University in Russian, and my bachelor's is in world, ancient and modern history. My co-host Anna Mays is an expert in taxes, and she's been for 15 years she's been revenue officer, field collector and investigator for the IRS. So today's show is going to be focused on her expertise, which is the taxes, and she's going to reveal a few less known facts about the IRS and the bureaucratic system of collecting taxes. Welcome to the studio, Anna. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you landed this impressive job at the most feared institution in America?
Thank you, Tamara. So I graduated from the University of Central Florida back in 1999 with a degree in finance. I had it in finance with honors and magna cum laude. I had never imagined myself working for the IRS. My plan was to go on Wall Street and trade stocks and be a stock analyst. However, life doesn't always work as you plan. So I ended up getting picked up by the IRS recruiter at the career fair. And I had a decent career during the 15 years that I worked there, where I grew to become a senior investigator, senior revenue officer, and a subject matter expert. My specialty was alter egos, nominees, and transferees. These are the terms, legal terms that describe various evasive techniques that taxpayers use to hide their assets, transfer their assets out of their names into other people's or companies' names, and my specialty was to locate them, find them, and bring them back.
Excellent. Also, I should note that Anna is an author. She wrote in 2021, she published this book, Tax Me If You Can. Very, very interesting. And we're going to talk a lot about the book at this session. What motivated you to write the book, and what is the main message that you want to put out there for the audience to understand?
Sure. So just to explain why I wrote the book and why I took an early retirement while my career was going so well, and the job was fitting me just fine, meaning that I could easily do that job. Finding assets, writing legal scripts, writing lawsuits, and finding and bringing these assets back into the name of the government. That all came easy. The hard part was going to the field and facing these people, facing the taxpayers. Some of them were in bad situations, dire situations sometimes. And in this particular case that I described in my book, a farmer who owned a small nursery back in Orlando committed suicide right in front of me and by the gun. And obviously I thought I was his target, so I thought I was going to lose my life that day. Once that happened, my perception of collection had changed, and I understood that a lot of people are on the brink. A lot of people are not only financially, but also psychologically, emotionally depressed. People are unbalanced. There are a lot of unbalanced and unstable people. And the last straw is for me to come out and knock on their door and give them my demands and give them the consequences and the deadlines to meet.
In your experience, would you say that it's fair for the taxpayers to be pressured in this way? And also, is it fair for the employees of the IRS to risk their lives and go out there in the field unarmed when there is clearly danger and there is a lot of anger accumulated towards this institution that you work for? So something is broken in this system, and you detected
Yes,
it clearly.
I believe that, and now that I work for the taxpayers, I've been working for the taxpayers over the past 3.5 years. I represent taxpayers at every level, at federal and state governments. I'm an enrolled agent, and I've seen a lot of cases where people pay over 50% of their income in income tax.
Wow.
And I'm not even talking about the real estate tax, that's extra. I'm not talking about the sales tax, that's extra. I'm talking about just the income tax. So,
Wow.
And I'm not being political. I don't belong to any party at this point. But I will tell you that some states, such as like blue states like California, New Jersey, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, these states tax the taxpayer even higher. The red states tend to be lower at the local level. Some states don't have income tax like Florida, but we have very high property tax and very high property insurance. So we get hit in a different way, okay? But I've seen people who make over 100,000 a year, let's say single person, in New York, unable to pay their rent because they're broke. The take home after all the withholdings are less than $5,000 a month. So you can't survive on that kind of money in New York City.
So not only the taxes are way inflated, but as far as everybody knows, the tax code is so complicated that they're forced to hire organizations to do their taxes because they're afraid that they'll miss something and they'll get penalized. So would you tell us how this tax code became so huge above everybody's head?
So as I had described in the book, the tax code was just over 400 pages just 100 years ago. So the tax system, the federal tax code, is only over 100 years old in this country. Prior to that, there was no income tax. So the income tax came around to be, they introduced it during, I believe, in the late 1800s, but it was only for the war, during the Civil War, to raise money. But it was a temporary measure, supposed to be. Then, of course, the First World War, it got reintroduced again, but at a much lower rate than it is now. And that was supposed to be a temporary thing as well. And then it was never a temporary thing after that. because
Wow.
once they start to collect, once they put the a hand in the pocket, and they can dig in deeper and deeper, psychologically, it's impossible to stop. So the code was over 400 pages back then. Now it's over 74,000 pages. So with the code,
72,000. Wow.
74, over 74,000. So with this code, of course, this huge bureaucracy, such as the IRS, grew, and it's not their fault. It's just a response to all these laws and regulations being passed, of course. And the tax rates, they fluctuated over the past 100 years. But obviously, whatever was introduced as a temporary measure became a permanent measure.
Who do you think benefits from such a inflated, huge tax code?
Well, so the budget of this country is so enormous, as you know. It's so huge. This is why we have budget deficits, because we don't collect enough money to even cover the current budget, let alone pay the old debt. So when you have such huge budgets where primarily most of the money goes to the defense industry. I'm not talking about Social Security and Medicare, because that's a separate tax and that's a separate budget for that. I'm talking about just the federal tax and spending. So once they got used to this kind of money, it looks like their appetite for spending just keeps on growing and growing.
And it's unaccounted. As we all know, the Pentagon never passed any audit so far, and something like 21 trillion
they
is
cannot
missing.
be audited. They cannot be audited.
Yeah, because it's,
So once again, once I saw the mom and pops, I worked for the small business self-employed division, not for large business. And as you know, the small business has been dying in this country. It's been more and more regulated, very difficult to keep the stores open, like small restaurants, the laundromats, little shops in the plaza, in the local plaza. So these are the struggling businesses that I used to handle.
they cannot compete against the monopoly, the huge monopolies like Amazon.
They cannot compete against Walmarts. They cannot compete against Amazons. They cannot compete. And on top of this, all of the regulations in this country, remember when it first started, it was there were no regulations. The founding fathers tried to keep it as business friendly, as simple to do business, freedom of movement, freedom of doing business, freedom of everything. And now I see businesses being overburdened. I'm talking about from the federal level to the very local level, where you need to get a permit from the city to paint your house. You can't do this, you can't do that. So all these regulations basically kill the business. And these are the people that I had to work with.